What's up, 7th grade? Mr. Agnos here. And this week, the equations get even more complex. So if you think back to what we've been doing, we started with one-step equations, right? X plus 5 equals 6. There's one thing we had to do to solve it. Within the past several weeks, we've been working with two-step equations, where we had to do two things to solve an equation. I had you write those down in steps, right? Step 1, we undo addition or subtraction. Step 2, we undo multiplication or division. Well, now we're going to start looking at some equations that take 3 steps to solve and require us to use the distributive property, right? So let's just dive into this. I'm going to do 2 examples. I don't think that's enough, but I just want to keep the video short. So make sure that we'll do some more in class together and make sure you get your questions asked in the chat. All right, so the first thing you should always do when you're solving an equation is rewrite the problem on your scratch paper. So my equation is -7 times the quantity, x plus 2, is equal to 21. Okay, there's actually more than one way to solve this. Now, they specifically want me to use the distributive property. So remember, the distributive property is where we use our arrows. And I think I used the comparison of, hey, I'm passing out candy to every kid in the class. Well, in the class, I have an x and a 2, and they each get multiplied by a -7, right? -7 is the candy, right? So what's -7 times x? That's just -7x. Plus, what's -7 times 2? Well, negative times a positive is negative, and 7 times 2 is 14. So that's a -14. Right? -7 times 2 is -14, and that equals 21. Now, since we're adding a negative here, we can actually clean that up and rewrite this as -7x. If I add a negative, it's the same as subtracting. So I can clean that up to look like this. Now, at this point, you should notice what we have essentially created is a two-step equation. So we had to use the distributive property just to get to the part where now it's a two-step equation. Now, step 1, and I'll rewrite those over here. Step 1, that's a 1, is undo addition or subtraction. All right, well, we have subtraction. We are subtracting 14, so we always do the opposite. I tie the shoe, you untie the shoe, right? You do the opposite. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides. These cancel, and that leaves me with -7x is equal to 35. And then step 2 is to undo multiplication or division. So step 2 is to undo multiplication or division. We have multiplication. So again, if I tied the shoe by multiplying by -7, you're going to untie the shoe by dividing by -7 on both sides. These cancel, and I'm left with x is equal to 35 divided by -7. A positive divided by a negative is negative. 35 divided by 7 is 5. All right, and we can always check our answer. I can plug -5 back in for x, right? And then when we're checking our answer, what we're really doing is asking a question. We're saying, is this true? Well, we do parentheses first, right? According to order of operations. -5 plus 2 is -3. So I get -7 times -3 is equal to 21. A negative times a negative is positive, and 7 times 3 is 21. So we end up with 21 equals 21. This is true, right? So it works. So they actually want you to do this in steps here. So we're adding a -14, right? That was my red step right here. And the solution is -5. All right, so you're definitely going to have to use scratch paper. You're definitely going to have to write this out step by step. I warned you guys about this when we were doing one steps. I said, look, I know you can do x plus 5 equals 6 in your head, but you want the practice of setting it up and writing it out so that when we get to more complex problems, you have those good habits in place. All right, I'm going to go over one more. And again, I think you're going to need more help than that, but that's what we're going to use class time for. All right, so this one, you actually have to write the equation and then solve it. It says Geet sells televisions. He earns a fixed amount for each television. Excuse me. And an additional $15 if the buyer gets an extended warranty. All right, he earns a fixed amount for each television. We don't know what that is, right? This fixed amount. So that's going to be our X. All right. So he earns X and an additional 15 if the buyer gets the warranty. If he sells 15 televisions with the extended warranties, he earns $1,200. Okay, so here's the price of a TV. Here's the price of a TV with the extended warranty, right? Whatever, let's say the TV costs $100. Well, then if you buy the warranty, you pay $115. I'm going to put this in parentheses. And again, this represents, everything in the parentheses here represents the cost of one TV plus the extended warranty, but he sells 15 of these. He sells 15 with the extended warranties. So everything here needs to be multiplied by 15, right? All of this right here represents a TV with warranty. All right, and we have 15 of those, and he earns $1,200. So we know that all of this together is going to equal $1,200. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Katie, phone's ringing. No. Oh, I'm right in the middle of a video. All right, we were expecting a phone call. I don't want to re-record this. So sorry guys for that little pause. All right. So everything in blue represents what he earns for selling one TV plus the warranty, and he did that 15 times. So I'm gonna rewrite this to make it a little prettier, and then we will solve it. All right. Now, I mentioned for the previous problem, there's actually more than one way to solve these problems. So first and foremost, we could use the distributive property, right? We could absolutely use the distributive property here, and we would get 15x plus 15 times 15 is 225. I now have a two-step equation, right? Step one, let's subtract. We always undo addition or subtraction. Well, I have addition, so I'm going to undo it. Right? I tie the shoe, you untie the shoe. So I get 15x. These cancel. Let's see, it's 1,000 plus we subtracted another 25, so 975. And then the final step would be, since I'm multiplying the x by 15, you're going to divide it by 15. All right? Those cancel, and we get x is equal to, I have no idea what 975 divided by 15 is. I'm pretty pro calculator, so again, I'd rather have you get it right. 65. So what this means is Geet earns $65 per TV he sells, plus 15 if he sells the warranty. All right, so he gets $80 if he sells a TV and a warranty. All right, let me show you the second way to solve this. So I'm gonna erase everything here because there is another way to solve this equation, and it just might make more sense to you. Now, this method doesn't always work, but I think on this assignment it might. All right, what we're really doing here is we're multiplying two things together. We're multiplying 15 times all this stuff in parentheses. So what if my first step was, hey, since I'm multiplying by 15, let's divide everything on the left-hand side by 15 and everything on the right-hand side by 15. Well, just like before, if I multiply and divide by the same number, those cancel. And what am I left with? Well, I'm left with everything in the parentheses, x plus 15. And I actually don't even need the parentheses anymore because I just have x plus 15. So I'm going to just go ahead and write it as x plus 15 is equal to whatever this is. What is 1200 divided by 15? 80. That's exactly what I said earlier, right? I said the price of the amount he gets for selling a TV plus the warranty is 80. Well, now this is a one-step equation, and if I subtract 15 from both sides, we get x is equal to 65, just like we got the other way. Now notice that this method only uses 2 steps. So what's the danger? What's the difference? Well, you might run into a situation where the number over here is not always evenly divisible by the number over here. In this situation, it was. Okay, but if this was a 13, for an example, and you want to go ahead and divide both sides by 13, 13 isn't going to go into 1200 evenly, so it might be better to distribute in that case. A lot of times you can tell just by looking. I think there's actually a question on this assignment somewhere where it's like 4, and then you have like x plus 2, and then they make it really obvious, and then like the number over here is a 44, right? So you could distribute, or you could say, hey, wait a minute, 44 is divisible by 4. So I could just divide by 4 on both sides and solve it that way. All right, as you can see, if you're confused, the equations are getting more complex. I encourage you to stop, rewind, watch those again. But most importantly, I encourage you to be engaged in class and ask lots of questions. And if I walk you through a problem, make sure that you're then hitting similar question and practicing it on your own. Okay, great job, guys, and I will see you in class.